Hi, my name's Kelsey Marie, and I just wanted to share with you all a story that happened to me a while back. It was when I was, I believe, 13. Yeah, so it was when I was 13, and a backstory. At this time, I was very overweight, like unhealthily overweight, so just keep that in mind, okay? So, where do I begin? So I remember getting a phone when I was around 13 from my dad, and during that time was a time that Facebook kind of like blew up and became like popular. And I remember my friends used to always hit me up through Facebook because I had limited texting during that time because my dad was so cheap that he didn't want to give me like unlimited texting. So the only way I could contact my friends without like, running up the bill was through Facebook. So I remember I would go on there a lot after school and just throughout the day. And this one time I just got curious and I started looking through like people, that section that used to show you like people that you may know. And I remember going through that section, seeing this one guy, and I'm like, dang, he's kind of cute, And so I went on his profile, and his profile was, I had to friend him first before I saw like stuff. But his pictures weren't like blocked or anything like that, so I could easily see it. And I remember I saw one and I'm like, dang, he is cute, and I liked it. And then I just forgot about it, went to school the next day, went on with my life. I remember getting home one day after school, and I remember I got a friend request. And when I looked at that friend request, it was from that guy. We're gonna name him Fabio. We're gonna name him Fabio, okay? So I got a friend request from Fabio. And shit, I was happy. I was so happy. So I accepted it. And then I remember like within an hour that day, I was about to eat dinner and I got a message from him. And his message was like, hey, like, my name's so-and-so. I think you're pretty. And like, I was like, wait, what? Me? No. But I was like, holy shit, like someone actually likes me. So we were messaging over Facebook for like a good 2 or 3 weeks until he said, hey, we should really meet up. And I was like, I was kind of scared. So I didn't say anything. And I remember looking through his like bio and all that. And it happened to say what school he went to. And I'm like, I looked at it and I'm like, shoot, that school is not far from me. It's like 10 minutes away from me. So I'm like, hey, like, yeah, I'm down to meet up, even though I was like secretly like scared inside. So I told him, yeah, and then he's like, why don't we meet at this mall? And that mall that he chose was like, happened to be like 5-10 minutes from my house. And so we set up a date, and he's like, all right, we're gonna go watch a movie and we're gonna hang out and I'll finally meet you, right? And I was like, in my head, I'm like, shit, like I don't look like I do in real life as I do in my photos. Like, I'm not saying I'm photogenic, but for some reason my photos do not look the same as like how I look in real life. So I was scared of that. 2, I was overweight, so I was really self-conscious. So I remember telling my best friend at the time, like, hey, I'm gonna go on a date with this guy. Do you think you can come with me? Because I was scared. Like, I was so scared. That was the first time I had ever been on a date or anything like that. So she agreed to go. So the day of, right? We met up, and like she came with me. God, I remember what I was wearing. I was wearing like some ripped skinny jeans, like light blue skinny jeans, a white long sleeve with like a big ass Hello Kitty in the middle, and some Uggs. But I remember when we met up, like his face, when he first saw me, his face did not look happy, which, I felt sad about. But whatever, I went on with it. I introduced, I don't want to say her name. I introduced my friend to him, and he was, so I went to go watch a movie, and like in my head I was like, hey, maybe he's gonna hold my hand, that cutesy romantic stuff. Never happened. Whatever. I got over it, and then we were walking throughout the mall, all 3 of us, and my friend at the time, she said, hey, I want to take a picture. And I don't know if you ever had this in your guys' mall, but like it was like a photo booth, but it was like Asian photo booth. But me and her went to go take a picture, and I told him, I looked over to him and I said, hey, do you want to take a picture with us? Because I didn't want him to just like, sit outside like a loser waiting for us. And he just straight up said no, like in a mad way. So I was like, all right, he for sure doesn't like me. So we took our pictures, right? It wasn't that long. And then when I got out, he told me, straight up said, hey, I'm gonna go home now. And in my head, I'm like, what? Like, it's only been like 2 hours, like, but, so he went home, right? And I remember after he left, me and my friend went to Borders just to hang out because it was still early. And I remember going on Facebook, I'm like, he hasn't messaged me, I haven't got any like text or anything. So I went on Facebook to see if he was on, and sure enough, this mother effer, he freaking unfriended me. I'm pretty sure he blocked me if I'm not like wrong. And I'm like, dude, my heart broke so bad. I was like, holy crap, like this is the first time I ever gotten rejected or anything like that. And I remember being so sad. I didn't say anything to my friend at the time. I was just so sad. And I remember going home and still checking my phone to see like maybe he's gonna hit me up later in the night. Maybe he got busy, you know? And I remember reading one of his comments that he put on his wall saying like something about fat chicks. Like, oh, haha, tell her to stop eating, stuff like that. And I'm like, I got personally hurt from that because I'm like, oh crap, like, you know? But anyways, he never messaged me back, but I got over it. So fast forward to me being 23, right? By this time, I had lost about 80 pounds. I had moved to a different city, and I hadn't talked to him at all. So I moved to this house, right? And I remember one night I went to my friend's house in another place, and we were all drinking, and I had my phone on the table, and I was drinking a lot, and I just went to go socialize with other people there. And I remember looking over it, and two of my friends were like laughing at me, and I saw them holding my phone, but like I was so drunk I didn't even care what they were doing. I'm like, there's nobody I'm talking to that they could be possibly, you know, texting or whatever. So I had nothing embarrassing in there, so I was like, whatever. I didn't pay attention to it, went on with my night. Woke up the next morning, mean ass headache. I remember being in bed, and like all of a sudden, like I had my phone on my nightstand, and my phone just went off, and like it was a ring or like a vibration I had never heard before. And I looked over at my phone, and I'm like, what the hell was that? And I grabbed my phone, and all I see on the top of the screen was like, you have a message from so and so. And I remember seeing I had a picture of a guy, and I was like, who the hell is that? So then I went through my apps, or went through my phone, and I had Meet Me installed on my phone. And I'm like, dude, what the hell? My friends, I guess, I think they, you know, I don't know. They had downloaded Meet Me on it, because apparently when I clicked on it, I already had a freaking account. So yeah, so that's probably what they were laughing at. But I went to my messages, and of course I was curious, and I clicked on it, and I'm like, it showed the picture of the person that messaged me, and I was like, dang, this person's pretty cute, you know? And I clicked on it, and the guy was like, hey, I think you're pretty, like we should talk. So anyways, after all this, like I continued talking to him, right? And at this time, this guy was new to me, okay? I had never met him before. I didn't know who he was. So yeah, so we were texting. I gave him my number, and we were texting for about 3-4 weeks until he said, hey, we should really meet up. And I was like, I was trying to be cautious, so I said, hey, like, yeah, sure, give me your address, you know? And so he gave me his address, and like I kind of wanted to map it out, like see where he was. And like the city he told me that he was in was the same city that I was in. So I was like, you know, curious as to where he lived. And then I went on Google Maps, and I put in his address, and you know, it shows a picture of the street or the place or whatever. I saw it, and I'm like, dude, that looks so familiar. And sure enough, it was the apartment complex right next door. And my heart literally just like, what? No way. So I took the chance, and I said, hey, like, what street do you live by? And he told me, and I'm like, this is gonna be really creepy, but I think I live right next to you. And he was like, at first he was like, no, like that's impossible. And I told him like, yeah, there's so and so right in front, and there's this over here. And he's like, dude, that's crazy. He's like, I have to meet you now then. So that same night, I remember he's like, can I go over in like 30 minutes? And I was like, yeah. He's like, you're at so-and-so place? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, dude, you're literally right next to me. So I remember he said he was gonna walk to the front of my gate and just wait for me there. And I was like, that's fine. So he texted me. I remember I was getting ready. He texted me. He's like, I'm here. And I'm like, fuck, my heart dropped. And I was so scared. So I'm walking towards the front of the gate, right? And I see a guy sitting down. We have these big rocks there was a little pond in front of my apartment complex, and there's these huge rocks that you could sit on. And I remember seeing from like far away somebody sitting on there. And I'm like, fuck, this is real. So I'm walking towards the gate, right? And I see him get up and he walks towards me, and I'm like, and I see him and he's like a few feet away from me. He's like, hey, and I'm like, hi, you know, this is scary, you know? And then he's like, I have been here before and I know there's not places for like us to sit down or talk. And he's like, it's kind of late for us to go anywhere. And I'm like, you know, in my head, I'm like, well, yeah, I'm not gonna go anywhere with you. I just met you. Hold on, let me fix this. There you go. And then he's all like, there's some patio chairs like where I live. And I was like, okay. And he's like, do you want to go over there real quick? And I was like, fuck it, like, okay. So I went, right? And we sat on these chair things, yeah, patio chairs. And there was a street light that was just shining, like on the way there was this street light that was just shining on there. So like it was well lit. And I look over at him and I see his face like clearly. And I'm like, holy shit, I know who this guy is for sure. And like from that moment on, I was even more nervous. And we walked in his apartment place, right? And I sat down and he was telling me about himself and then what school he went to, what sports he played. And like in my head, I'm like, yeah, for sure, this is him. Yeah. So I don't know how, but I got the courage and like, you know, just to be like, hey, I know you. Because I knew it was going to be awkward. I knew he was going to be like, what? How the fuck do you know me? I just met you. Like, you're creepy. So I kind of cut him off. He was talking and I was like, hey, do you remember so-and-so, this girl you went on a date with a long time ago, and we went to go watch a movie, and this happened? He's like, do you remember a girl named Kelsey? And he just went dead quiet, like dead quiet. And I remember he just covered his hands like that over his mouth, and he's like, oh, I am so sorry. And I was like, yeah, that's me. He's like, holy shit. He's like, you don't look like the old you. In my head, I'm like, well, no shit, Sherlock, I lost like 80 pounds. But he was like, I'm so sorry, like, you know, all that. And then, what's it called? Sorry. And then I forgot what happened after that. Yeah, so we talked, like, we didn't make a big deal about it. But I was already going home thinking, like, hey, he's not going to hit me up again, you know? But he did, and he wanted to get to know me. And we were both like, this is like, you know, it was like destined for us to meet. Like, who would have thought I would run into this guy that ditched me like years ago when I was younger, and now he wants to get to know me when I'm thinner and I guess prettier and older. I don't know, but yeah, that whole situation was crazy. Like, I hadn't even thought of him, and of course he had to be my neighbor. Like, it was just so random and weird. Like, I don't talk to him now. Like, I respect him. Like, he's a great guy. Yeah, so that was one of the things that I thought was like, holy shit. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you like the story or want more, go ahead and let me know. We're in quarantine right now, so I'm really bored, so I'd love to, you know, do something with my time. But yeah, anyways, I hope you have a good day and a good night. Bye.